On the news, Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike breaks silence in aftermath of PDP presidential primary, says Atiku lied. Gumi hits federal government over threat to sanction BBC and Trust TV. And will fight Muslim ticket with prayers and PVCs, former SGF Babacha Lawal insists. We're glad to have you join us for news now. I am Folashade Ogurinde. The governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike, has reacted to the events that have unfolded in the aftermath of the presidential primary election of the People's Democratic Party, PDP. Speaking to journalists on Friday at the Port Harcourt International Airport, the Wike accused the PDP presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar of telling lies against him, as well as using some chieftains of the main opposition party to spread falsehood against his person. The governor vowed to respond to both the party's flag bearer and the party chieftains, whom he described as Atiku's attack dogs, in due time. He also alleged that the PDP flag bearer used events of the unveiling of the PDP vice presidential candidate, Governor Ifeanyi Okowa of Delta State, and his appearance on the national television to lie against him. Former Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Babacha Lawal, says the Muslim ticket of the All Progressives Congress, APC, for the 2023 presidential election will be resisted with prayers. Lawan said this at the APC Northern Christian Leaders Summit on Friday. Bola Tinubu, the APC presidential candidate, picked Kashim Shettima, the former governor of Borno, who is also a Muslim, as his running mate for the 2023 presidential election. The development elicited outrage from key stakeholders, particularly the Christian Association of Nigeria, CAN. Commenting again on the issue, Lawal said there is an agenda to politically, religiously, and economically suppress and oppress the Northern Christian, but he said they are up to the task. Well, Islamic cleric Hamad Gumi says the federal government is trying to find a scapegoat for its failure to tackle insecurity. The cleric was reacting to the plan by the federal government to sanction some media organizations for glorifying terrorism. Gumi said insecurity should be expected because President Muhammadu Buhari rewards failure with ambassadorial appointments. On Thursday, Lai Mohammed, Minister of Information and Culture, said the British Broadcasting Corporation and Daily Trust will be penalized over their documentaries on terrorism and banditry in Nigeria.
Gentlemen, we are aware of both the two provosts by the BBC and also the interview conducted with the band leader Tuji by the Daily Trust. All I can say is that there's a regulatory body, that is the NBC, and the NBC are also aware of these two incidents. They are looking at which part of the broadcasting code which parts have been violated by both the BBC and the Daily Trust. And I can assure you that there will be consequences. For those who may argue that BBC is a foreign broadcaster and as such is not licensed by the NBC, let me assure you that they will not get away with this naked glorification of terrorism and banditry in Nigeria. If they're not registered in Nigeria and they only send their signals into Nigeria, we ask them to stop sending the signals, pure and simple.
Meanwhile, security experts have urged the federal government to sensitize media practitioners on the reportage of security issues in the country to avoid unnecessary spread of panic. Speaking to TV360 Nigeria, Group Captain Sadiq Garba Shehu implored the media to reduce the sensationalization of terrorist attacks in the media, adding that journalists should not glorify terrorists. He maintained that outright censorship from the government might not be the right step, adding that the Ministry of Information should seriously consider sensitizing the media practitioners instead.
The press are not also helping matters. You hear them giving outlandish claims, sending fear into the society, and in other words, working into the hands of terrorists by showing as if tomorrow Abuja will fall, as if tomorrow terrorists will enter they will enter Asorok. It is not as that. I am not saying there is no room for concern, but the way our press are propagating this thing, again with politicians who want to make a grain out of it, after they have failed to do their duty, it is very, very unethical. All over the world, I do offer, I am part of the teaching staff in the European Center for Security Studies in Germany. There's a course they call Terrorism and Security Studies. In that course, there's an element of media and counterterrorism. And the teaching all over the world is that you should not glorify terrorist acts. You don't come and say, for example, the terrorists, they came out in like special forces and then dazed our military. You don't do that. That is irresponsible. Yes, as journalists will always, I'm also a student, I've been a spokesman for the Nigerian Air Force, I've done some media studies, so a journalist will always tell you the public have the right to know. But that right to know should always be balanced with the need to know and also responsibility. You are forgetting that these terrorists, they killed an officer. That officer has wife and children. Your emphasis should be on the harm that the terrorists are doing on the victims, not trying to glorify them. A responsible media, even when you get, I know there's competition of being faced with the news, but sometimes even when you have a news, if you think the public knowing will cause more harm than good, all over the world, even CNN, sometimes they are told by the United States government, please, you have this news, but keep it. Now, after having said that, I see the problem now with the Minister of Communication with the newspaper houses. I will recommend, humbly in my own humble way, that what you need to do is to train or to sensitize our media. Some are doing it out of mischief, some are doing it because they are aligned to one party or the other, but some are doing it out of ignorance. You have to teach them how they handle issues with security and counterterrorism. And the best practice is self-regulation rather than censure. I don't like the censure that the government wants to do. Try and get their buy-in. Explain to them, it's something that can be easily explained. Why you should not just put a story out there that shows as if you are, brandishing the terrorists as if they are heroes.
Well, still on security matters, Defense Headquarters says 30 of the terrorists who attacked troops of the Guards Brigade in the Buari area of the Federal Capital Territory last Sunday have been killed. Director Defense Media Operations, Major General Bernard Unyoko, who made a disclosure at the bi-weekly news conference on military operations on Thursday in Abuja, also assured Nigerians, especially residents of the Federal Capital Territory, of their safety, saying the security situation in the nation's capital was under control. Unyoko said the operation was conducted by troops of 7 Guards Battalion and 167 Special Force Battalion in conjunction with the air component of Operation Well Punch between Sunday and Tuesday. He said the troops successfully cleared Kawu and Ido villages, neutralizing the terrorists and destroyed their enclave and hideouts.
Troops of 7 Guards Battalion and 167 Special Forces Battalion, in conjunction with the air component of Operation Wild Punch, conducted clearance patrols around Boad General area between 24 and 26 July. Troops successfully cleared Kao and Ido villages. Consequently, about 30 terrorists were neutralized after the bombardment, and their enclaves and hideouts were destroyed. Ground troops also recovered 6 motorcycles, 2 AK-47 rifles, and some magazines with fully loaded arms and fully loaded ammunition. I beg your pardon. Troops are currently mopping up the general area.
The Minister of Niger Delta Affairs, Umana Okon Umana, has promised to adopt a new approach in order to achieve the objectives of the ministry. The minister made this known at a 2-day management retreat organized by the Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs held at the banquet hall of the Presidential Villa in Abuja. He added that rather than assuming what is needed, the ministry will work closely with the representatives of the communities.
Indeed, that is on the table, and we're taking it very seriously. And the representatives of the state governments who were even present today, they heard when I said that in our new approach, before we intervene, we'll be writing to the governors and for inputs, and then because it is all parts of a rational need assessment approach, rather than sitting in the office and pretending that we know what is required. So it's going to be a new approach of working with the state governments to ascertain what is needed, and then to prioritize and then make sure. If you were present when we were wrapping up, one of the things I said was that we were going to identify areas of high impact projects in the communities you just mentioned. And then we will carry out a needs assessment and then before we proceed to intervene. So as part of our new strategy, new approach, that is already being taken into account.
Speaking on the issue of unpaid contractors, the minister said efforts to be made to work out ways of making payment to contractors who have completed their projects.
There's no organization that handles its finances in a rational manner and implements its budgets in a rational manner that is going to award contracts and pile up liabilities to the level and tune that we find in NDDC. The truth of the matter is that the available funds today cannot liquidate the liabilities that we have at hand. That is the truth. But having said that, we must also then work out some logical, sensible way of making payments to contractors. And I said to Dave that, for example, if a contractor had done a job, he was not mobilized, he used his own resources to build a road. The road has been completed, taken over by NDDC. That should be number one priority. Should be number one priority for us if we are going to make payments.
The International Organization for Migration, IOM, in Nigeria has awarded 12 journalists for their quality reporting on migration issues in Nigeria, with TV360 Nigeria's Mojisola Matomi emerging the first place winner of the TV broadcast report category. The award ceremony was the outcome of a process that saw Nigerian journalists submit entries on irregular migration, return and reintegration, and migration protection. Our correspondent, Abisola Dibayo, now reports.
Cecilia Idowu, the first of 5 children and a mother of 2, is one of many Nigerians who left the shores of the country in 2016 desperate to make ends meet. Her unfamiliarity with social media led her into the trap of human traffickers who lured her into 3 years of her darkest life.
Before we go to that Agades, because maybe this corporate small boss, that Reports like these that promote the need for safe and regular migration has been encouraged through the Migration Reporter Competition, an annual ceremony organized by the International Organization for Migration, IOM. 56 submissions were received and assessed based on rigorous evaluation criteria by a jury comprising the European Union delegation in Nigeria and media experts from IOM, with 12 journalists emerging winners for stories and reports published in 4 categories, including radio, television, online, and print. Mojisola Matomi, who works with TV360 Nigeria, emerged the first place winner in the TV category. She says her story aimed to shed light on the significant wins of returning migrants rather than laying emphasis on their pains.
So basically, the aim of my report was to shed light on the good side, not just the pain, because most times people tend to dwell on the pain that these migrants go through, and they're not focused on the fact that there are people that come back and they are actually doing well for themselves. So basically, I was just opportune to speak with 2 migrants who were able to share their journey to self-recovery with me, and they are doing well for themselves right now.
Speaking at the ceremony, the acting chief of Mission IOM Nigeria, Prestige Murima, reiterated the media's influential role in shaping public opinion about migration.
Journalists play a very important role in migration management and governance. We use their platforms to communicate to people who are on the move, to people who are about to travel, to people who are intending to come back home. So it is important that we cultivate a community of journalists who have the right skill set to talk about migration in a positive light, highlighting the good things that migration bring about.
The media's attention was also drawn to the importance of mental health and psychosocial support, particularly when reporting stories of vulnerable migrants with mental health needs.
It's important to create a balanced story. We've got good problems, we've got bad ones. We've got good news here in Nigeria, and we've got the bad ones. So let's not flood the airways with the bad stories. There are a population of teeming people wanting this good news, but we can't find them, because if you check the social media pages, you check your TV stations, your traditional radio stations, all you hear are depressing stories. And what do these people do? They look for these stories out of Nigeria, and they're fine.
When you tell human interest stories, you never know how far that story will go. You never know how many people it's going to change. It can change the world. The power of storytelling cannot be overestimated.
The Migration Reporter Competition is designed to commemorate the World Day Against Trafficking in Persons, to highlight the importance of quality reporting in tackling the menace of trafficking. It also aimed at rewarding journalists who tell the stories of migrants, as well as educate the public on critical issues associated with migration. Abisola Adebayo, TV360 News.
We'll take a break here, but still to come, we are working to avert further Naira fall. CBN Governor assures Nigerians. Details of the story and more right after this break. Welcome back. Now here is a recap of some of our top stories tonight. The governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike, has reacted to the events that have unfolded in the aftermath of the presidential primary election of the People's Democratic Party, PDP. Speaking to journalists on Friday at the Port Harcourt International Airport, Wike accused the PDP presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar of telling lies against him, as well as using some chieftains of the main opposition party to spread falsehood against his person. We also told you that the former secretary to the government of the Federation, Babacha Lawal, says the Muslim ticket of the All Progressives Congress, APC, for the 2023 presidential election will be resisted with prayers. Bola Tinubu, the APC presidential candidate, picked Kashim Shettima, the former governor of Borno State, who was also a Muslim, as his running mate for the 2023 presidential election. Welcome back. The Biden administration says it has reached an agreement with Moderna to buy 66 million doses of the company's next generation of COVID-19 vaccine that targets the highly transmissible Omicron variant. The Omicron strain has been dominant in the U.S. since December, with BA.5 subvariants now causing a massive wave of infections across the country and infecting U.S. President Joe Biden. About 261 million Americans have received at least one COVID-19 shot, but only 108 million have received a booster. A COVID-19 vaccine maker, AstraZeneca, has revealed that profits fell sharply in the first half on increasing cost linked to its takeover of U.S. biotech firm Alexon. The pharmaceutical group added that sales of its COVID-19 vaccine, Vaxzevria, also slumped 49% in the second quarter of 2022. In addition, operating expenses dropped 33%, reflecting the addition of Alexon and continued investments in new launches and the pipeline of drugs. We'll take a breather here and return with more stories in business. To stay with us. Welcome back. Mary Kanu is on standby to bring us up to date on the latest in the world of business. Mary, what's the latest?
Well, Folashade, many thanks. Welcome to Business News. The Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has assured that it will continue to make deliberate efforts in the foreign exchange sector to avert further downward slide in the value of the naira, which it said was fueled by speculative tendencies. Director of Corporate Communications at CBN, Osita Nwanisiobi, says the Apex Bank remained committed to resolving the foreign exchange issues confronting the nation, and as such has been working to manage both the demand and supply side challenges. He advised the public to resist the urge of succumbing to the speculative activities of some players in the foreign exchange market. And African energy giants Algeria, Niger and Nigeria have signed a memorandum of understanding to build a 4,000-kilometer trans-Saharan gas pipeline in a bid to move away from relying on Russian energy as the European Union is increasingly turning to Africa for natural gas imports. Although the contents of the Memorandum of Understanding were not disclosed, the long-dominant project has seen an uptick in interest in recent months as gas prices have surged following Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Well, this comes as the European Union is increasingly turning to Africa for natural gas imports in a bid to move away from relying on Russian energy. We'll take a break now and return with a review of the stock market. Well, welcome back. After witnessing 8 trading sessions of losses, the NGX witnesses a breakthrough as the market rose to 1.42% and climbed to the 50,000 level as investors recorded 379 billion naira gains now compared with the previous trading day. Today's data shows 24% improvement in volume, 28% decline in turnover and 3% decline in deals. Now, in the aggregate, 98 listed equities participated in trading, ending with 25 gainers and 13 losers as the Union Bank and Multiverse topped the chart with combined 67 kobo gains. Now, on the other hand, it's a different turn of events for some selected global stocks as the bear made an appearance. The FTSE is trading high at 1.06%. The Dow Jones is also up at 0.34%, but Japan stock Nikkei is trading down at 0.050%, led by losses in the automobiles and parts, insurance and food sectors. That's the stock market report. Back to Folashade for the latest from the global scene. Folashade.
Well, many thanks, Mary. And on the global scene, Russia and Ukraine have blamed each other for a rocket attack that killed dozens of Ukrainian prisoners of war in the occupied part of Donetsk region. The Office of the Prosecutor General disclosed that about 40 people were killed in the strike and 130 injured. Ukraine accused Russia of targeting the prison in an effort to destroy evidence of torture and killing. On its part, Russia's defense ministry said the prison camp was hit by Ukrainian precision rockets and also accused Ukraine of deliberately perpetrated provocation. And in the world of sports, Nigeria's table tennis team for the 2022 Commonwealth Games in Birmingham have been handed a tricky draw in the opening round of the men and women's category. The men's team, led by world number 11 Quadri Aruna, will face West Africa rivals Ghana, South Africa, including Cyprus, in the first round. In the women's category, Nigeria will aim to progress from Group 1 after facing Singapore, England and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And that's the size of our news bulletin. Many thanks for watching. I am Folashade Ogurinde. Bye for now.